Subsidiary management, it can be a thankless job. No one appreciates you for handling the administration of your company's subsidiaries. You won't receive any kudos when things run smoothly, but you can sure get into hot water when something goes wrong. Today on Zippy Point. I'm Brock Romanek and I'm a big fan of yous. The subsidiary stuff is an administrative hassle, but it's important. For example, it could delay an acquisition if one of your entities is not in good standing. Here are 5 tips when it comes to subsidiary management. 1. Don't allow new subsidiaries to be formed without your approval. 2. Follow your how and why guide. 3. Dissolve unnecessary subsidiaries. 4. Analyze whether you need an outside provider. 5. When you acquire, fix target subsidiary situation right away. 1. Don't allow new subsidiaries to be formed without your approval. So a good rule is to bar anyone in operations from forming a new entity unless they get clearance from you first. This should be a cardinal rule. You should fight tooth and nail to stop a new entity from being formed. Only give the blessing if it's absolutely necessary. People used to argue that you need a bunch of entities so that the corporate veil wouldn't be pierced. That's hogwash. The parent company is almost always on the hook. Don't let that be the reason why a new entity is being formed. Bear in mind that every time you open a new subsidiary in a new country, there's a bit of a learning curve and some associated costs with that. So don't approve subsidiaries in a new country unless there are some really compelling reasons. 2. Follow your how and why guide. So you need to be organized so that things run smoothly once an entity is formed, and to help guide you when you're deciding whether to approve a new entity in the first place. The linchpins of this is to set up an enterprise, a uniform way of doing things. So you need a how and why guide to running your subsidiaries, something that you update every 4 or 5 years. For example, it makes everyone's life simpler if the company has only one policy for indemnification, not a different policy for each subsidiary, different policies that are customized for that subsidiary's circumstances. Don't do that. Don't allow the directors and officers to have separate indemnification letters for each of your subsidiaries. That can become quite a lot of paperwork, quite a big hassle in a hurry. 3. Dissolve unnecessary subsidiaries. So keep track of what your business needs are and which entities you need to accomplish those business needs. Dissolve those LLCs and C Corps that are just laying around, just hanging around, that are no longer serving their original purpose. People don't realize how much a dormant subsidiary costs, about $5,000 to $10,000 each year to handle their legal, accounting, and banking costs. That adds up. Prune your subsidiaries as much as you can. 4. Analyze whether you need an outside provider. Some companies handle all their subsidiary work in-house. Some outsource most of it to an outside provider. Some fall somewhere in the middle. The extent to which you outsource will depend on 2 factors. One is whether you have a good paralegal who can handle this stuff. That kind of resource is invaluable. Hold on to your good paralegals, and they are increasingly hard to find. If you have a good paralegal, you might not need to pay someone outside the company to manage your subsidiaries if your situation is fairly simple. If all your subsidiaries are within the United States, you probably don't need an outside provider. You should be able to rely on the use of a spreadsheet if you have someone good that can manage it. But if you have a lot of subsidiaries, even if they are all in the U.S., you might need the commercial service in addition to your good paralegal. The second factor is whether you have any foreign subsidiaries, ones in countries outside the U.S. The laws of other countries can be quite complicated. Dealing with foreign subsidiaries can be overwhelming. It's an overwhelming challenge. Here's where using an outside provider can really provide real value. I have another Vid-Guide that includes questions you can ask an outside provider when you're interviewing them. A link to that, which is beneath this video. 5. For deals, fix target subsidiation right away. So when you enter into a deal to buy another company, this is one of the first things you should be checking, part of your due diligence. How many issues do the subsidiaries of this target have? Finding this out early should be part of the art of the deal, part of the due diligence, like I said. Otherwise, you might get some unpleasant surprises when you go to closing. If the target has a messy subsidiary situation, you should get to work cleaning it up right away as soon as the deal is closed. Don't let the problems fester until it's too late and you have a major issue that's going to reflect poorly on you, even though you didn't create the mess in the first place. Like I said, when things are going smoothly, you're not going to get kudos, but when things are going bad, they're going to go bad for you.